Joseph Campbell's mantra, follow your bliss, has touched many a life. And our next profile demonstrates how dramatic that transformation can be when someone does just that. The Mythic Journeys Conference marked the premiere of a rock opera by an aspiring singer-composer-lyricist who was far from writing music just a few years ago. Producer Mary Beth Kirshner brings us his story.
I've written a song called American Machine, which is what I felt like I had become. And that's kind of an adrenaline addict, a deal junkie. You know, the cell phone, the BlackBerry, the laptop computer, running around the country chasing deals and not connected to anything other than what was the next deal.
6 years ago, Parker Johnson, at the young age of 31, was already a success. Like his dad and granddad, he became an investment banker, first at Morgan Stanley. Later, he started his own firm, and he was making more money than most people ever dream of earning.
It seemed that every January 1 I had to wake up and feel like, well, I've got to do better than I did last year. One of my very best friends had been one of the founders of one of the extremely successful .coms and had made a couple $100 million, and he had really had a tough time with making that much money that quickly. And I thought to myself, man, if he's there and isn't satisfied, what does that mean for me?
Parker was having his best year ever financially, but it didn't mean much. His marriage was falling apart too. And then, as Joseph Campbell says, he heard a call.
Mine came mostly in the middle of the night. I would wake up at 3 and 4 a.m. and something was just wrong. It was just simply a knowing, like my tuning fork, my internal tuning fork was vibrating at a frequency that was trying to snap me out of something.
For Johnson, his calling was to quit his job and move from Atlanta to Boulder, Colorado. There he took a break from his fast-lane life and started writing poetry. Poetry that eventually led to this music and a rock opera.
Beyond your rules, beyond your sleep, I know a place your mind longs to be.
Parker had sung with rock bands since he was in grade school, when he fell in love with the rock opera Tommy. It was about that time that he was first turned on to Joseph Campbell. When Parker was only 11, Joseph Campbell came to his family's church in Atlanta to give a sermon. Parker's mother and father bought a number of Campbell's books, which lay around the house for years for the family to read. Books Parker reread when his crisis came.
I was reading Joseph Campbell one day, and it said, real personal crisis sets in when you get to the top of your ladder only to find you've placed it against the wrong wall. And it was as if I had been struck by lightning. I was like, that's me.
Johnson's rock opera is called The Ladder. It premiered at the Mythic Journeys Conference in Atlanta.
Good night, our sweet darling.
The rock opera starts with an experience which Parker says is clearly not unique. The pressure to follow in your father's footsteps.
It's called Lights Out, and it says, good night, our sweet darling, don't you know we're proud of you. You're all that we've imagined. The world's in store for you. And at times like these, when we are hard on you, it's all our hopes and dreams that we bestow on you. And I think there's a lot of inheritance to exceed and do better than our fathers did.
Parker's father and mother are now among his greatest fans. They acknowledge how conflicting their influence may have been, leading him down two seemingly divergent paths, a hard-driving career in business like his old man, and then in another direction.
Well, of course, Joseph said, follow your bliss.
Parker's father, George Johnson.
And I guess we had listened enough to that and repeated that, and that's what Parker obviously has done. We just, hope it really turns into something that is really satisfying to him, something that'll be meaningful for a long time for him.
His family was front and center for the latter's premiere, as were friends from Parker's old life. Mark Mance was one who traveled to Atlanta from San Francisco to be there. He'd worked with Parker at Morgan Stanley and laughingly admits that some of his colleagues think Parker's lost his mind.
I don't want to mention names, but there are
You don't have to say names. No.
obviously some people who work in the corporate world who, when you have some success like Parker's had, and people don't understand how you can have that kind of success and then leave it all behind.
I think it makes some people nervous.
Rob Tallison also worked with Parker at Morgan Stanley and grew up with him in Atlanta. He flew in from Los Angeles.
I was with some people last night that also know Parker and have known him since childhood, and I told them I was coming to this tonight and what Parker was doing, and you could tell that it's an area that if they don't feel like they don't want to go down that path. They don't even really want to be challenged in that way.
You've come a long, long way for tonight.
Sure, Parker spent the last 2.5, 3 years putting this together. It's a big moment in his life.
I don't have any other friends that have written a rock opera.
I'm not sure,
So
we will either.
I am here to support him and to be here for the world premiere. I mean, there's no way I was going to miss it.
After the latter's premiere, Parker Johnson is now developing a rockumentary, as he calls it, American Machine, with music from the latter for its soundtrack.
Doesn't matter. Nice look, nice feel, fast cars, fine wine, all good things come in time. That's fine showbiz. But when I'm